The Mormon Church was this framework of we work hard, we get things done, we perform, we're always growing, we're always getting better. And I think, again, there was a sort of a confusing melding of those ideas when I was a kid. And as I got older, I realized that that work ethic, and especially on my mission, actually, my mission was my big transition point. When I was 19, I got sent to Mexico for 2 years to be a missionary. A decision I made, but didn't really make. The culture made it. I sort of was culturally automated into that. And that was the transition from like formal schooling into like being thrown out into the wild. When you're on a mission, they don't tell you how to do it. All they say is like, go talk to as many people as you can and baptize as many of them as you possibly can. And you have to go through all these processes to baptize, to get someone baptized. So the whole thing is about how do you get someone baptized? There's no like handbook. There's like rules and stuff. There's no way to do it. And so I'm like, okay, I got to baptize people. I'm going to freaking grind to do whatever I need to do to baptize people. And there's no rule book. Like I don't have to fill out a multiple choice test.
But that's not taught. Like you're making it sound like hard work is taught, but it was your own brain that went, I'm going to push this to its absolute maximum. Like, where did that come from?
But it wasn't taught. It was modeled by the culture. When everyone around you
was also doing that.
Is also doing that. Like in high school, even we don't party, we don't do anything. We actually wake up at 5:30 every morning.
And that's enforced.
That's enforced. Oh yeah, you major shame structures around this kind of sinful behavior. So instead, you have teenagers waking up at 5:30 and going to what we call seminary, which is like Bible study at 6 a.m. before they go to high school. Like before they go to high school, I was going to a study every morning, every weekday, starting my day at 6 a.m. All of my peers were starting their day at 8 and like going in. I had been up since 6 reading the scriptures, And so and this is not just Mormonism, this is any Orthodox religious framework where there is shame structures around keeping people in line. So they're not partying, they're not indulging, they're sticking to things so you learn how to obey.
And what do you mean by that? Like shaming as in there's something wrong with you?
If you drink alcohol or coffee in the Mormon church, you are shamed. That's wrong. Not only are you shamed because you've just sinned and that's bad, but the people around you will judge you.
Right.
And so you have all of these social structures. You have a God structure that's like, you're bad if you do this. And it helps create large groups of people behaving in these rigid ways. All Orthodox religions know this. This is how they keep people in line. And it's why it's so hard to leave. This is why it's so hard to leave Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox Judaism. It's incredibly hard to leave because you are in it and you're all in or all out.
Right.
It's a very good like retention tool. Shame is a powerful thing. So that wasn't taught, but it was modeled and created for me that like you work hard, you have a work ethic. And then on my mission, it was a bunch of young guys who were all incentivized to be fucking hard workers and to just go hard. And it's a competition kind of. And you're a 19-year-old kid. Like while all of my peers were like freshmen in college getting drunk in their fraternity, I was on the streets of Tijuana, sweating every day in a shirt and tie, walking up hills, knocking on people's doors, and speaking to them and trying to convince them in Spanish to join the Mormon Church. And then I was in street markets. I created this idea of like a street market. We go to the sobre ruedas, like the little like street markets, and like preach there and like get people. And I created all these like sort of entrepreneurial ways of like getting people in the door, and I got a lot of people in the door.
Yeah.
Converted a lot of people to Mormonism.
Subtle flex.
I mean, flex. Or subtle like mea culpa, like sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the ethics of that though. Like how do you feel looking back on your mission and the ethics of mission work in general?
Yeah. Boy,
that's a loaded one.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard one because, and this is a really difficult paradox with my whole relationship with the church. The church is to be credited with a lot of the like lifestyle disciplines that I really believe in terms of like I have values. I have like really firm values that like I hold on to and I embody in my life. And yet the church is also responsible for a lot of shame and trauma. And that is exactly what my mission was as well. Responsible for giving me all of these amazing skills, the ability to talk to thousands and thousands of people in a different language and learned about their lives and like for 2 years, that's all I did every day I speak a new language because of that. I'm an American. I would never, ever learn to speak Spanish fluently. And yet I have that. I learned to work hard. I learned about the world. I got thrust into the slums of Tijuana. I learned about borders because I was on a border and I got fascinated by that. Like my whole world was opened up. Yeah. And yet my mandate during those 2 years was to one way or another pressure people into joining the church. And I did pressure. I pressured people and sometimes manipulated people.
How?
Which is really shameful and really, really something I grapple with. That because of the incentive structure of numbers, counting every baptism, every month there was a newsletter that would go out to all the missionaries that was like, here's the mission, the companionship of the month, the people who baptized the most. There were stats on every companionship, every district, how much they baptized. And so it's like a game show. It's like a little mini corporation. It's like a whatever, like we were out there competing. And so we did whatever it took to get people baptized. And I feel deeply, not even conflicted, unambiguously regretful for the moments where I would tell people, you promised that you would come to church. You promised.
Oh, wow.
You promised God that you would come to church. You're betraying God by not doing this. Even now I feel just like a little sickened by the fact that I would stoop to that level. And again, I look back at it as like a young guy, in a system of really hardcore cultural intensity and shame, and like I try to have generosity for that 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid, but that was me. I made those decisions. So yeah, it is this grand paradox of great treasure for what it gave to me and great shame for what I participated in.